Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention for just a moment? We have a guest minister who is going to pray for us, but went to the Senate first to pray and will be with us shortly. So as soon as that minister arrives, we will convene. Thank you. Mississippi House of Representatives is now in session. Please let the House come to order. Please stand as we're led in prayer today by a guest minister to be introduced by the gentleman from Perry, and remain standing there for the pledge.
Thank you, Speaker. Chaplain Colonel Terry Parton, a native of West Point, is a graduate of the Oak Hill Academy in West Point. He attended Blue Mountain College, got his bachelor's degree. He attended the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, graduated with a master's with an emphasis in pastoral ministries. Sensing God's call to be an Army chaplain, here this guy's been a pastor for years, and he's sensing God's call to be an Army chaplain. He joined the Guard in 2003, joined the 223rd Engineering Battalion in West Point, knew he was fixing to go overseas, and he deployed in August of 2004 to the Al-Anbar province, Iraq. And any of you know that was a very bad place to be at that time. As battalion chaplain with the 2nd of the 114th Field Artillery Battalion out of Starkville. And then coming home in December 2005, he resumed his role as a pastor. He was called to Moab again, to get called up again to go overseas in 2007, working with troops, mobilizing and demobbing through Camp Shelby until 2009 when he was deployed again. He was deployed again, this time with the 155th Armored Brigade Combat Team, as brigade chaplain. Upon returning in 2010, he continued to work with service members, mobilizing through Camp Shelby until 2014, at which time he returned to full-time ministry in Perry County. And then he became my pastor. Y'all pray for him. In October 2018, Chaplain Parton, he was mobilized again and deployed a 3rd time, serving as a command chaplain for the 184th Expeditionary Sustainment Command, becoming the first Theater Sustainment Command Operational Command Post chaplain, kept Arfan, Kuwait, where he would work with a lot of teams, offering a lot of support throughout the Middle East, to include 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 countries. A few months before returning home in September 2019, he was promoted to colonel, full bird colonel. He's probably the only full bird chaplain colonel that I know. And he's at Joint Forces Headquarters today, where he oversees religious support operations. He supervises up to 22 ministry teams across the state. He's been a pastor for 35 years. He serves as pastor at Disciples Chapel Community Church, New Augusta, Mississippi, Perry County. He resides with his wife, Sue, of how many years? 33 she's had to put up with him, and 3 deployments. And they're still married. And their 4-year-old son, Leo. This man's very important to me. He's a good man. He works hard. He's got a big place in my heart and my family. And I want to introduce to you Colonel, Chaplain, Pastor Terry Parton.
Thank you so much, and I'm honored to be able to stand before you today and take a moment to lead you to the throne room. Would you join me as we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we recognize you today as creator of all things. We thank you for the body of servants who you called to minister in this place. Thank you for the individual personality, strengths, weaknesses, and tenacity that make up this body. May you bless them with your mighty hand, guiding and directing their every thought and action. Please, Father, give them of your protection as you call them to hear your voice and to strive to do that which is right. Help them as they make decisions that will affect every person in this great state. Speak to them through the power of your Spirit. Let them hear not only the cries from the citizens of this state, but the quiet murmuring of your Spirit. Be an encourager to them in their daily efforts. Walk with them and their families as they diligently work to provide for every person and family in this state. Lord, give them courage to stand for what is right. Give them strength to endure when the days become long. And Father, give them of your love so that they will know of your faithfulness. Undergird them and lift their backs as the burdens they carry can be heavy and difficult. Walk beside them as a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Please, Lord, bless these. And we ask this in the holy name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat for you today on the pledge. This is J.C. Curtis. Come over here, J.C. Stand on this side of me so you can be seen. J.C. is one of our pages. She is a senior at Jim Hill High School here in Jackson. That's exactly right. She is a delightful young lady. She and I visited a second ago. She plans to continue her education, become a nurse, but she is proficient in sign language. I asked her how did she come to know sign language. She indicates that both sets of her grandparents are deaf. And so she grew up learning sign language, and the lady from Hines, Ms. Clark, is her sponsor, and requested that we allow J.C. to do the pledge for us today in sign language. So I'd ask that you place your hands over your hearts and that you stand silently and that we allow J.C. to lead us in the pledge. I will tell you, I know very little about sign language, but I do know that the sign for applause is not clapping, but it's this, okay? So at the end, if you wish to do that, I would encourage you to do that, all right? So J.C., lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk.
Have you seen Turner?
Yes, sir. Close the machine, Madam Clerk.
There's a quorum present, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, I want to acknowledge that our Adjutant General, Dur Boyles, is here with us. Please make him feel welcome. I'm afraid. Wanted to make sure we acknowledged him before he escaped. All right, we'll have the reading of the journal. The gentleman from Rankin moves. We dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Report of select committees.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Report of standing committees.
We have reports on the counter, Mr. Speaker.
Introductions of bills and constitutional amendments. The gentleman from Marion, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the introduction.
Is there objection? Hearing none, we will do that. Resolutions, petitions, memorials, and other
We
things.
have none, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. At this time, we'll have introductions of guests and visitors. Gentleman from Rankin, Mr. Yancey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the South Gallery, I have a friend of mine up there. You'd often see him on Veterans Day and on Memorial Day, standing out on Lakeland Drive, holding an American flag in memory and in honor of our veterans, Mr. Don Hartness, a great American. Glad to have you here today.
Gentleman from Minnewanba, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, help me make welcome to the Capitol 10 educators, professionals from Etowah Community College for their Leadership Development Institute. We have C.J. Adams, Terry Bland, Josh Gamil, Adam Gore, Holly Gray, John Wayne Harris, Dr. Bobby Solomon, Chris Stevenson, Dr. Dana Walker, Stephen West, and Dr. Allen with Etowah Community College. Please make them welcome.
Gentleman from Bolivar, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, it's a truly great day today, and I get a distinct opportunity to introduce my guests. As a rookie legislator, you know, these are distinguished guests that I'm about to introduce. So I just want you to look at the program on your desk, the Grammy Museum program. We have those issued out to everyone. And we encourage you, as when you get an opportunity, to come to Cleveland, Mississippi to visit the Grammy Museum. Today I have visiting with me, and I ask that you will make them welcome, Ms. Emily Havens, our Executive Director, which is located in the North Gallery. She's the Executive Director of the Grammy Museum, and Ms. Becky Nile, Mayor Nile's wife of Cleveland, Mississippi, who's the President of the Grammy Museum and Mississippi Board of Directors. Would you help me make them welcome?
Gentleman from Jackson, Mr. Zuber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of myself, Representative Reed, Representative Geis, and Representative Busby, I would like for you and the other members of the House to help me make welcome the mayor of probably the most beautiful and majestic city in the country, Ocean Springs, Mayor Kenny Holloway in the South Gallery.
Gentleman from Tishomingo, Mr. Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two guests from Tishomingo County. If you guys would stand, Mark Allred, Terry Rory. They're going to be cooking your ribeye steaks tonight. So if you come down to the fairgrounds, you're going to have a good steak cooked by these men right here.
All right, I don't see any further introductions. Excuse me, there is one. Lady from Jones, Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning. Yesterday, we brought you some fine folks from Jones County, Ben and Aaron, and in the North Gallery this morning, I bring you some more fine folks from Jones County, Scott and Ashley Shoemaker. Welcome.
Gentleman from Bolivar, Mr. Sanders.
Again, thank you again, Mr. Speaker. I'd be remiss if I didn't honor our very own Larry McGee, whose birthday was yesterday, and I missed that one. So,
All right, thank you, sir. We'll do that. All right, I don't see any further introductions. Gentleman from Capaya has a special guest that he wishes to introduce. So I'm going to ask Sergeant at Arms to escort our special guest into the chamber, and I'm going to recognize the gentleman from Capaya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the House. Today we have some very special guests. Several years ago, we Weathersby, Holloway, and Carey introduced a resolution to honor one of this nation's great World War II veterans. Unfortunately, before we could get this outstanding veteran here, he passed away. So today we have his family here, and we still want to honor Mr. Ben Richard Bernie in his death for his outstanding service to this country. So we're going to ask Madam Clerk to read a portion of the resolution, and then we'll have brief comments by Representative Tom Weathersby, and on behalf of the family, Mr. Thomas Bernie Price, in that order, if you come. Thank you, Madam.
Whereas the city of Crystal Springs and the entire state of Mississippi lost a wonderful friend and revered World War II veteran with the passing of Mr. Bernie, who was born July 30th, 1926, to Ben I. Velva McCoy Bernie. And whereas after graduating from Crystal Springs High School, Ben joined the United States Navy, and during his era in the military aboard the USS Sovereign, through grit and unparalleled exertion, he patriotically fought to ensure that America remained the beautiful. And whereas upon his honorable return home, Mr. Bernie attended Capel Lincoln Junior College and ultimately graduated with his degree in accounting from the University of Mississippi. And whereas Mr. Bernie married the former Miss Catherine Wilson, and building a lifetime of memories with the addition of 3 daughters. And whereas working with his father, they established the Bernie Water Well Service to provide water wells and community water lines for rural residents in Crystal Springs, for Coleman Electric and Royal Maid, and he retired in 1987 from the Mississippi Industries for the Blind as the Vice President of National Sales. And whereas upon his retirement, Mr. Bernie remained very active in his community as a member of the Lions Club, the Lake Capel Board of Directors, and the Cannabis Association. And he also utilized his accounting degree as the financial officer of his church. And whereas Ben Richard Bernie's bright sense of humor, remarkable intelligence, and pure heart left an indelible impression in the hearts and minds of his many friends and family who are left to cherish his memories. And whereas it is the policy of the House of Representatives to commend the life and service of such a genuine and selfless individual as Mr. Ben Richard Bernie, whose light illuminated the path of hope for all he encountered. Now therefore be resolved by the House of Representatives of the state of Mississippi that we do hereby mourn the loss and commemorate the life, legacy, and service of Mr. Ben Richard Bernie, and express sincere and deepest sympathy upon his passing.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House and guests, I just wanted to share a couple of my experiences with Mr. Ben Bernie. He was always a special friend and a supporter. During my first year here, we had to redistrict and run for re-election. And after that redistricting, Mr. Ben called me and said, if you'll come eat breakfast with me, I'll show you where your lines are. So I carried a map down to Crystal Springs and we ate, and when we got through, he began to look at the map and he said, you know, you've got 11 split precincts. I don't know that I can tell you where it is, but I'm going to give you some names that we need to talk to and generally show you where we are. But he was a real leader in Capel County, and one of the things that he worked for so hard was a National Guard armory. And it took several years to get this armory built, but it's something that we continue to be proud of in Crystal Springs today. Mr. Ben was a pillar of the community in Capel County and Crystal Springs, and his shoes are hard to fill, and we still miss him today. Thank you.
Before Mr. Thomas comes, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ben's family. His daughters are here, Janice, Bernie Arrington of Crystal Springs, Virginia Bernie Price, her husband Joel Price, and their sons Isaac and Thomas Price, all of Brandon, Mississippi. You can come down at this time, Mr. Thomas.
Wow, what an honor. So I heard sense of humor mentioned, and I'll start with a joke. And my grandfather, we belovingly called him Daddy Ben, would say, you know how to figure out how many cows are in that pasture? Just look out there, count the legs, and divide by 4. He always had a smile on his face. He was the definition of equanimity. He dedicated his life to service, and we could take all day talking about that. On behalf of my family, our entire family, we would like to express our appreciation to Representative Holloway and the House of Representatives for this resolution recognizing my grandfather's military service in World War II on the Pacific Front. We also thank all veterans present for your service to our country. Our grandfather, spent the rest of his retired Navy career organizing ship reunions annually for as many of his crewmates as he could get together, and they met all over the country, and I was privy to attend several of those joyous occasions. That he managed that all the way up until his death. Even when his wife, my grandmother, was torn from us by the disease of Alzheimer's, he stayed faithful. He stayed of service to her. And you've heard it said his shoes will be hard to fill. I sure want to try them on. He is one of the men who I aspire to emulate. He continued serving others his whole life in our family, his church, civic, and political organizations, and through his vocation at Mississippi National Industries for the Blind. He continues to be an inspiration to us all. Thank you for having us here today. He blesses me every day.
Thank you. So on behalf of the House of Representatives, we'd like to present the 2 daughters a token of our appreciation for, on behalf of their father. Thank you very much.
All right, gentleman from Rosebud, gentleman from Tallahatchie, Mr. Rosebud. My father-in-law is from a town called Rosebud, Texas, so that's what I had in my mind.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, in this packet that you all received on your desk from the Grammys, there are 2 tickets in it. Please, if you all don't use the tickets, please make sure you give them to someone that will use them, because the museum is actually tracking the number of people that come to visit, so that it can have, it's somewhat of a survey. So please make sure if you're not going to use those 2 tickets that are in there, give them to someone so that they can have some more trackability with the national Grammys. Thank you,
sir. All right, we will go to the calendar. Looks like we're going to start on page 2, concurrence, non-concurrence calendar. Item 1, tourism, pass. Ways and Means, item 2.
Mr. Speaker, I'd move to invite conference on item 2.
Motion is to invite conference. All in favor say aye, opposed nay, ayes have it. Item 3, agriculture, pass. Item 4, Judd B.
Mr. Speaker, I would move to invite conference.
Motion is to invite conference. All in favor say aye, opposed nay, the ayes have it. Gentlemen, I see you got another one down there, number 6. You want to hit it?
Yes, sir. Invite conference 2.
Motion is to invite conference. All in favor say aye, opposed nay. Ayes have it. All right, lady from Lincoln indicates she needs to go back to item 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I need to invite conference.
Motion is to invite conference. All in favor say aye, opposed nay, the ayes have it. Item 5, insurance. No takers. Item 7, Judd A.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to invite conference.
Motion is to invite conference. All in favor say aye, opposed nay. Ayes have it. Item 8, drug policy. Gentleman Rankin.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we invite conference.
Motion is to invite conference. All in favor say aye, opposed nay. The ayes have it.
That's 8.
Item 9, county affairs.
Speaker, I'd like to move to concur.
Okay, you need to come to the well, gentlemen. This is a tantamount to a final passage.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to concur with the Senate amendment.
Okay, you wish to explain?
Explain.
Or do you just
Medicare
wanna-
eligible employees. This is House Bill 843. This bill we passed last year. It allows the counties that have individuals now, it was just limited to seniors who are Medicare eligible, to allow the county to pay for their supplement, and the county would save money by reducing the risk pool by allowing those individuals to get off the county insurance. So what we've done is we've opened it up, because under the federal law, we can't just pick out one segment of the population. So anyone who wants to participate in this program may participate in it, and that's an explanation of the bill.
Questions? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Favor the motion to concur, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close machine, Madam Clerk. By about 118 yeas, 3 nays. Motion to concur passes. Item 10, we're skipping item 11, corrections. All right, item 12, county affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to House Bill 1098, item 12. This prevents a fire protection district from receiving a county millage.
What's your motion,
revenue.
gentlemen? What's your motion? What is your motion?
The motion is to concur with the Senate.
You're recognized to explain your motion.
Okay, thank you. Once again, I'll explain. This allows any fire protection district that is totally paid and has no volunteers to continue under the current statute, which allows them to fundraise and bill for services. So what this bill will do is prevent a volunteer fire protection district who has volunteers from billing the community for a service that the Board of Supervisors has levied millage to pay for. And it's just that simple. They can still receive voluntary donations. It just prevents the folks from being double billed for the same service. That's an explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I move final adoption.
Questions? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question goes on the motion to concur House Bill 1098. If you favor the motion, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 119 yeas, 0 nays, motion to concur prevails. Item 13, Chairman of Elections. Yes, sir.
I would like to go to item 13 and invite conference.
Motion is to invite conference. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item 14, workforce. Item 4 passes. Okay. We're going to go back to item 10 on the concurrence calendar. Chairman of Marine Resources. Okay, we're not going to go back. We'll wait. We will come back to that. Let's see, we're going to move now to the motion to reconsider calendar. Item 1. Gentleman from Jones. Hang on, gentlemen, we got more computer problems. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got our computer issues fixed for the moment, hopefully. We're going back to concurrence, non-concurrence. Item number 10, Chairman wishes to move on item 10. You recognize, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item number 10 on the concurrence, non-concurrence calendar is House Bill 972. The Senate made a few changes to it. A couple years ago, we made the commission down there an advisory commission only. And the changes the Senate made was they changed everywhere in the bill that said commission, and he changed it to the department. And I moved to concur with that.
All right, motion is to concur. Any question? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Motion, if you favor the motion to concur, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk, by a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, motion to concur passes. Anything further on concurrence, non-concurrence calendar? I don't see any. Move now to the motion to reconsider calendar. Item 1, Gentleman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I'd like to ask Senate Bill 2113, motion to table.
Those opposed have 5 minutes. Any opposed? I don't see any. If you favor the motion indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item number, Gentleman Tate, Mr. Lamar, what purpose? Okay. Item number 2, what's your name? Oh, yeah, Neshoba. Gentleman from Neshoba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to go to item number 2, House Bill 1029, and move to reconsider the vote whereby the House concurred on House Bill 1029.
Motions to reconsider. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Bill is back before the House.
Okay. Move not to concur, but invite conference on House Bill 1029, Mr. Speaker.
Motion is to invite conference. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Any other item on the motion to reconsider calendar? Yes, sir. Gentleman from Tate.
Mr. Speaker, I would go to item 4, Senate Bill 2063, and move that we reconsider the vote by which that bill passed for purposes of an amendment.
Motion is to reconsider the vote. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Bill is back before the House. You have an amendment?
Would ask that you recognize Representative Scoggins.
Gentleman from Jones. Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm informed that we adopted a strike all on this bill, so we have to also reconsider the vote by which a strike all passed
I'll
for
make that
purposes
motion.
of amendment. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Strike all is back before the House. Now we can amend it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment is something that we passed several weeks ago. It is simply an amendment that removes the requirement for a certain population for a municipality in order to hold an election for the purpose of sale of beer, light wine, or other products of light wine. It does require an election to be held, and that election has to have at least 20% or 1,500 people, whichever is lesser. And that summarizes the amendment, sir.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. I recognize the chairman to respond.
He has no objections.
There you go. That's a new tactic I've not seen before. Refuse to yield the microphone. All right. Question now recurs on the amendment. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now we're back on the strike all. Anything further?
No, Mr. Speaker.
Question occurs on the strike all. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Now we're on the bill. Any questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2063. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Everyone voted. Close the machine, Madam Clerk. I vote 108 yeas and 7 nays. The bill passes. Gentleman from Rankin, Mr. Weathersby, what purpose you seek recognition?
Introduction out of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
On behalf of the entire Rankin delegation, I'd like for you in the House to help make welcome a group of Rankin County students with Rankin Youth Leadership and their sponsors, Tandy Phillips and Mandy Arndl.
All right, back to the motion to reconsider calendar. Gentleman from Walthall, you have an item?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item number 5, reconsider the vote for amendment, please, sir.
Motion is to reconsider the vote for purposes of an amendment. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Bill is back before the House. Gentlemen, I'm informed this too was a strike all amendment, so we need to reconsider the vote by which the strike all passed. You make that motion?
Yes, sir, I make that motion.
It failed. Motion failed.
The strike all was adopted. The bill failed, but the strike all was adopted. So we reconsider the vote by which the strike all was adopted. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Strike all is back before the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the controversial honey bill. I would like to yield for the gentleman from Tishomingo for amendment, please.
Gentleman Tishomingo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think we can make this bill a little bit sweeter today if you guys will help us out. Madam Clerk, if you would read the amendment, please.
Yes, ma'am, you're recognized.
Amendment number 2 to Amendment number 1 by Representative Pygott. Amend on line 20 by inserting after the word contains by inserting the following, any coloring.
Ladies and gentlemen, simple amendment. I've talked to several folks that had some heartburn yesterday, and I think this does fix that problem. Rest assured by the reverse repealer, it is going to conference. So with that being said, Mr. Speaker, I'll yield to questions.
Questions? I don't see any.
Move final passage.
There is one.
Adopt amendment.
You done?
I'm finished. I hope.
Lady from Jones and Ms. Scott.
Yes, will the gentleman yield?
To your right, gentlemen.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Gentlemen, down in Jones County, Shauna, and I got some people that grow honey, and they have contacted me and said that they were deeply opposed to this bill. So now this amendment that you just put in here it was for flavoring, you said?
That's right. Yes, ma'am. We call it adulterated honey where they put the spices in it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so on yesterday, there was a lot of debate about spices and flavoring and whether when you get honey from the bees in its purest form, would that still be honey in its purest form? Now that we've adopted that amendment, how does that change that argument?
Okay, what I'm gathering from council and what everybody met yesterday afternoon on and talked with Farm Bureau, the Department of Agriculture, the legislative body here in the House, this actually defines if anything's added to pure honey, it has to be labeled, or it has to be any coloring. So you will be able on the label to say if it's been adulterated or not. Yes, ma'am.
But they can still say 100% honey, and then down in small letters they can say flavoring or whatever that people can't read or will not read. They'll just see the 100%. They could do that, couldn't they, gentlemen?
I'm sure they could do, but yes, ma'am, the regulatory part of our Department of Agriculture can regulate that. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Gentleman from Marion, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman, yield.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you've done made the statement. This bill is double referred.
Not double referred, sir. It's going to conference.
You are carrying it to conference.
We put a reverse repealer in it yesterday. It will have to go to conference. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. I meant the reverse repealer. Yes. And I think with that said, I think you got clarification on your bill.
I believe so. With your blessing, sir, I think we do.
Gentleman from Lawrence, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Speaker. Gentleman yield.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, talk about transparency again. The strike all says that pure honey can still be labeled pure honey even though it contains spices and or coloring, right?
No coloring. This amendment fixes the coloring part of it, yes.
Thank you. So the House had two objections yesterday. One was coloring and one was spice, right?
I believe so.
You fixed the coloring, the spice is just like it was yesterday, right?
Right, and I understand you were okay with it going to conference and working on that in conference, correct?
I was just fixing to mention that because I know I had some things to say yesterday. I didn't want to be entirely silent today. You and the chairman have spoken to me, And correct me if I'm wrong, certainly you told me that you would do your best in conference to also cure the spice problem where at the end, pure honey would in fact be pure honey. Is that correct?
That's correct. I will hold your position in conference, yes, sir.
Okay. And that was my understanding, and I appreciate you reiterating that again this morning. I just wanted to make sure that the House knew exactly what our conversations were. Thank you.
Yes, and I think we'll come out with a sweet bill.
Well, you've certainly created a sticky situation.
I believe so, Mr. Speaker.
All right, time has mercifully expired on his amendment. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Anything further on the bill? Strike all. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Strike all is adopted. Now the bill. I don't see any questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2007. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 83 yeas and 32 nays, the bill passes. All right, the only remaining item on motion to reconsider is item 3. Lady from Met passes. We're going just to the rules calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to ask that we take up item 1, 2, and 3 in a block.
Anyone wish to have one of these items set aside? I don't see any. Any questions on any of these resolutions? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the resolutions, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. With 119 yeas, 0 nays, resolutions are adopted.
I'd like to ask for immediate release.
Any objection? Hearing none, we will do that. Brings us to the appropriations calendar. Passes. Brings us to Ways and Means. I guess he passes. Brings us to the general calendar. Item 1, Workforce.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to call up Senate Bill 2371.
All right, you're recognized.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is a strike all for the language, and all it does is it increases the term bid maximum to $75,000 from $50,000. It adds the language from Senate Bill that we passed earlier in the week, or early last week, of 2806, that deals with the reverse auctions for construction, and it clears up some language on the Board of Contractors where they require projects that cost over $50,000 to be by a licensed contractor. It leaves that at $50,000, and that's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman DeSoto, Mr. Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman yield?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I missed that last part. So it's leaving it at 50,000?
Current law says that any construction project that is over $50,000 for state agencies or local governments, if it's over $50,000, they have to have a contractor's license.
Okay.
This just leaves that law in place.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I don't see any further questions. Open the machine. Oh, I'm sorry, we had a strike off. If you favor the strike, I'll indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. I don't see any questions on the bill. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2371. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 110 yeas and 9 nays, the bill passes. Item 2, Judd 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item number 2, I'd like to go to that item, Senate Bill number 2034. It's been read for the third time. Just simply what 2034 does is it just simply says that letters of administration are going to be issued where the intestate had a fixed place of residence at the time of his death. If the intestate did not have a fixed place of residence, then it's going to be by the Chancery Court of the county where the intestate owned land. And then if the intestate did not have a fixed place of residence or did not own land, then by the Chancery Court of the county where the intestate died. And that's an explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I do have an amendment at the appropriate time.
Okay, you're recognized for your amendment.
It's just a reverse repealer.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2034. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, to vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 122 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Judd B. Passes. Next item, Judd B. Passes. Next item, elections, number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to go to item number 5, that's Senate Bill number 2306, and it has been read for the third time.
Yes, sir. You're recognized.
All right. This bill is the Senate Campaign Finance Report Bill, and it simply does one thing. It would allow the Secretary of State is the only one that would have jurisdiction instead of both Secretary of State and the Ethics Commission. The bill contains a reverse repealer.
Questions? I don't, there's one. Gentleman Adams, Mr. Johnson.
I'm sorry, I don't have the bill in front of me. Jurisdiction to do what?
If you have a violation of your filing of your campaign finance report.
All right, thanks.
All right, I don't see any further questions. If you favor the strike, all indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Further questions on the bill? Gentleman from the Neshoba, Mr. Bound. Okay. I don't see any questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2306. You favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 117 yeas and 2 nays, the bill passes. Gentleman from Neshoba has an introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, please help me make welcome in the North Gallery a group of 9th through 11th grade students from the Pine Grove Christian Academy in Walnut Grove, Mississippi. Their teacher, Miss Megan Brista, and their principal, Mr. Nick Caldwell. Please make them welcome.
All right, we return to item 6.
All right, Mr. Speaker, item 6 is Senate Bill number 2879, and it has been read for the third time.
Yes, sir.
All right, this is the Mississippi Voting Modernization Act. There's no money in this. This would create a fund where hopefully we can put some money to help counties buy new voting machines, and this would allow everyone to go to a scan system, paper ballots and scan system. We have we have some of our counties who already have this system. Those that don't, many of them are in the process of trying to purchase them right now because their old machines are wearing out. This bill does have a reverse repealer in it, and at conference, it has provisions that will allow for them to apply to get money for these machines, the counties, but also allow counties that have already purchased machines to apply for money to be used in other purposes in elections. I will be honest with you, that is one thing that we'll have to continue to work on because they cannot apply for, I think, an adequate amount. That's something we'll have to work on and make sure that amount is increased at conference, but it does have a reverse repealer.
Questions, gentleman from Lawrence, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Speaker. Gentleman, you.
Yes, I do.
Gentlemen, helping buy new voting machines, that's great. I believe, and I'm not sure, I believe I heard you refer to scanners and paper ballots, right?
Yes, so that's what they'll be purchasing.
Is that, are we going to require them to go back to scanners and paper ballots, which I hope we are, but I'm not sure what that answer is.
That's our intention to do that, yes.
So no more electronics and internet and whatnot?
That's the intention.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right.
All right, I don't see any further questions. If you favor the strike, all indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. I don't see any questions on the bill. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2879. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 118, 19 yeas and 2 nays, the bill passes. Brings us to item 7, education.
Mr.
Oh, I'm
Speaker,
sorry, you got another one?
Mr. Speaker, I have one more item. I'd like unanimous consent to go to item 25.
25?
25.
All right. You're recognized to present item 25.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's Senate Bill number 2358, and it has been read for the third time. And this bill is a bill that the Senate has that would be the candidate filing fee bill. This provision allows the political parties to set the filing fees under certain parameters for majority of the elections, both the federal elections and statewide elections, down through our election. It does not, the county level, those fees are set. This bill has a long way to go. It does contain the reverse repealer, and so we're willing to talk about this some more before we bring it back to you. We did not have a bill that did these things in the House, but is something that is worthy of consideration, and that's my explanation.
Questions on the strike all. Lady from Jones, Ms. Scott.
Thank you. I'd like to ask the gentleman, since the House exercised such good judgment in not bringing something like this to us, can you tell us what the reasoning of the committee was? Is there an outcry for the political parties to be able to set fees that this legislature has been setting since time immemorial?
I do believe the political parties requested this. I don't know whether both political parties, but I know it was requested by political parties, and they do not feel that the fees are adequate for their conducting of the elections, and we're just willing to talk about that. But I don't know. There were bills filed just and all I said, there were bills filed to raise the fees, and I know we did that a few years ago, but that's simply what it does. It would take it out of our hands. It wouldn't at the county levels, and it would at certain offices, but the statewide offices down through Senate and House, it would remove that authority from us.
And we've always had it. And so, gentlemen, let me ask you this. Will the Libertarian Party be able to charge one thing and the Green Party be able to charge something else?
Yes, they would. It sets the fees for the independents, but the parties would be able, that conduct their primaries, can set the fees.
Have we increased the fees for the independents in this bill?
I don't know that it was increased.
Okay, so
I know it wasn't for our office.
Okay, so the independents are the same.
Yeah.
And so that the people that's running for political office will know, one party can set its fee astronomical, another one can be very low, that there does not have to be any consistency in setting of these fees.
Well, that might be something that we look at, but right now, no, there is not. But, and depending on what we consider astronomical, because I know that is a concern, that's a concern I have. And so I don't know that I'm comfortable with the limitations that they placed in their legislation. That is something we can look at and determine not to exceed amount. And if that's what we choose to do, that's one of the options we have. I think right now theirs is an average of the southeastern states, And so there is a limitation, but that was placed on it by certain members on the other end. That was not something, I don't think that was requested by the party. So I don't know. Like I said, there was an unlimited amount they can charge, but it would not be in our hands. Once we pass something, we can put a cap if we want to.
In Alabama, does Alabama charge more than $350 to qualify for a legislative seat in their state?
I don't know exactly what they charge.
Does Louisiana?
I know some states charge a lot more than we do.
Does Louisiana?
I'm not sure.
Or Tennessee?
I haven't looked at those yet. But that's something we will look at conference, what our surrounding states charge. But it has been represented that some charge a lot more than we charge.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman Hill?
I will.
It seems to me from my limited amount of knowledge concerning this bill, there's a lot of uncertainty in it. There's a lot of unclarifications in it. There are some various fees involved. It looks like a lot of confusion. Could we perhaps do a little more work on this bill?
That's why we have a reverse repealer.
Jim from Madison, Mr. Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman Hill?
Yes, I do.
You probably have already answered it and I just missed it. But this has no application to the municipal or county
No,
committees, right?
I don't think so. I know that municipal, I know it doesn't. And counties, they're set in here. And I don't think it changes. I'm not.
Okay.
There are some of the fees that are set at the county. Those fees, the parties won't determine them.
Lady from Hines, Ms. Summer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to make a motion at the proper time.
Okay, state your motion.
I'd like to move to table this bill.
Motion is to table. Those opposed have 5 minutes. Any opposed?
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
I would like to request that we not table this bill, that we work it through the process. Some of these questions have been asked. They'll be answered before we come back with the final version. If it didn't have a reverse repealer in it, I would probably be in favor of the lady's motion, but I would like to keep it alive.
All right, anyone else? Don't see any. In favor of the motion, table indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The noes have it, the noes have it. All right, anything further?
Nothing else.
All right, in favor of the strike all indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. I don't see any further questions on the bill. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2358. In favor of the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Everyone voted. Close the machine, Madam Clerk. Somebody vote the chairman, please, for his own bill. By a vote of 68 yeas, 44 nays, the bill passes. Brings us back to item 7, education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to skip item 7 and go to item 8, if that's okay, and call it up.
Yes, sir. You're recommended.
Senate Bill 2422, and yield to the gentleman from Lamar to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Lamar.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is Senate Bill 2422, which would address, I have a strike all as well, Mr. Speaker. Did we call that up?
You're recognized.
Okay. So the strike all for Senate Bill 2422 would simply add our language from the two bills that we had concerning the Education Enhancement Fund. I'll briefly talk about the changes that are in this bill real quick. It would move the date that we have to receive the cards to July 1st, and then change the date that they must be distributed to teachers to August 1st. This is in response to a lot of comments from teachers that they're not receiving their teacher supply cards, at a timely manner. It would also set the amount at $25 million instead of a fluctuating percentage to give them a little more certainty about the amount of money they receive on those supply cards. That's a brief explanation of the changes. It does also include a reverse repealer. That's an explanation of the strike all.
Question, Jim from Forest, Mr. Watson.
I
Pass. All right, I don't see any questions. If you favor the strike, all indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. I don't see any questions on the bill. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2422. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 122 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Jim from Copiah, Mr. Holloway, you need to have an introduction.
No, Mr. Speaker, I want to make a unanimous request. I inadvertently hit yay. I would like to vote nay on House Bill 2358.
Clerk informs me that would change the outcome, so they cannot make that change, gentlemen. It was a 3/5 vote, apparently. Sorry about that. All right, takes us to number 9.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to call up Senate Bill 2423 and yield to the junior gentleman from Harrison to handle the bill.
All right, gentleman from Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 2423 is a strike all inserting the language from House Bill 1059, which passed this body 120-2. And it basically adds the Senate language, which expands opportunities for teachers to earn endorsements and allows for international reciprocity. There is a reverse repealer in the bill, so we can continue to work on it. Mr. Speaker, that concludes an explanation of the bill.
Questions? I don't see any. If you favor the strike, all indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2423. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. I vote 121 yeas, 0 nays. Bill passes. Brings us to item 10.
Mr. Speaker, if I could skip that one momentarily while they're getting an amendment ready and go to item 11.
Okay.
And I'd like to bring up 2431 and yield to the gentleman from Lamar to handle that bill.
Gentleman from Lamar.
Okay. The hopping back and forth is really exhausting. Okay, so for Senate Bill 2431, we do have a strike all, but I'd move that we table the strike all to the bill.
Motion is to table the strike all. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're back on the bill.
All right. Senate Bill 2431 would update the procedure for purchasing textbooks for the Department of Education. Current law requires that we maintain a school book depository in the state of Mississippi. The one school book depository that we have has closed. So currently we're unable to purchase and store textbooks. So this bill would simply allow us to use a regional textbook facility. There are several available in the states around us that we could use. And that's a brief explanation of the bill.
Questions? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2431. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item.
Mr. Speaker, item number 12, call up Senate Bill 2887 and yield to the junior gentleman from Lamar to handle the bill. Pearl River.
Gentleman from Pearl River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 2887 authorizes local school districts when purchasing vehicles. It allows them to purchase electric vehicles. It does not require that they purchase electric vehicles. It just gives them the option to do so if they want. And that's a short explanation of the bill, and I'll yield to any questions.
Questions? I don't see any. Open the machine. Oh, excuse me, we have a strike all. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now the bill. Open. Oh, there's a question. Lady from Pearl River.
Gentlemen, will you yield?
Yes.
Does this allow for electric scooters?
You did this on purpose. I guess. No, lady, it doesn't. Just
Okay.
buses.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, don't see any further questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2887. In favor of the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 119 yeas and 1 nay, bill passes. Next item.
Next item 13, call up Senate Bill 2885, and I yield to the gentleman from Copiah to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Copiah is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have an amendment to the strike all.
Okay, you're recognized.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, the amendment simply removes the reverse repealer to the extended repealer.
Any questions? I don't see any. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Anything further on the strike all?
Okay, this bill extends the repealer between the Partnership for the Energy High School Academy, Vicksburg, Warren, and Claiborne County School District. The program started in 2016, and we've been putting 3-year repealers on it, so it's time for the extension of the repealer. So we're extending the repealer to 2025, and that's an explanation of the strike all, Mr. Speaker.
Questions? I don't see any. In favor of the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2885. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 122 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Next item.
Next item is 14, Senate Bill 2430. I'd like to call it up and yield to the gentleman from Lamar to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Lamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 2430 would establish the Educational Facilities Revolving Loan Fund. This would be a $200 million revolving loan fund that would serve K-12 schools and public community colleges. 80% of that $200 million would go to K-12, and then the remaining 20% would go to public community colleges. The purposes of the loans the uses of the loans could be anything from repairs and renovations to existing facilities, repairs or new construction for the purpose of pre-K classrooms, or repairs or new construction for the purpose of career and technical education. DFA would be responsible for working with the Department of Education and with Community College Board to promulgate the rules for applications and the different parameters for the loans. They would be set at a 0% interest rate for the K-12 and community colleges, and they could be repaid over a 10-year period. You wouldn't be eligible for a new loan until you pay off the existing loan, and that's a brief explanation of the bill.
Questions on the strike all? I don't see any. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Questions on the bill? Jim Mark Tibby. Oh, you got something else. I don't see any questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2430. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 121 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Jim Mark Tibby Hall, Mr. Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I need to call a rules meeting right now, if at all possible.
Rules meeting right now in the rules room. Next item. Okay, education yields. Brings us to transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item 15, Senate Bill 2520. Call it up.
You're recognized.
Please recognize the gentleman from Prentice to present the next two bills.
Gentleman from Prentice is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 2520 is a piece of legislation that designates a section of Mississippi Highway 45 located in Prentice County, Mississippi, as the Senator John White Memorial Highway. Senator White served 19 years in the Mississippi Senate. He was a resident of Baldwin. He was an optometrist by trade. That is the explanation of the bill.
Questions? I don't see any.
Move final
Open the
passage.
machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2520. In favor of the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 116, 17 yeas, 0 nays. Bill passes. Next item.
I'd like to call it up and ask the usual motion.
We've already read it. Third time, gentlemen. You're recognized to present the bill.
Senate Bill 2481 is another highway designation bill. It designates a section of Mississippi Highway 488 located in Leake County, Mississippi, beginning at its intersection of Highway 35, extending east to Whit Alford Road, is designated and shall be known as the Hunky Cross Highway in memorial of Austin Morrow and those that have lost their lives there. Section 2.
I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2481. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 118 yeas, 19 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, drug policy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to the next item, Senate Bill 2818, and I have an amendment. This is the, basically I call this the Department of Health and Department of Revenue cut the red tape bill to try to get the seed to sale tracking program for the Mississippi Medical Cannabis Act in place in a timely manner. The amendment allows the Department of Health and Department of Revenue to negotiate a limitation on the liability of prospective contractors to the state, provided that such limitations afford the state's reasonable protection. And that's my explanation of the amendment.
Questions on the amendment? Lady from Jones, Ms. Scott.
Can you tell us now, when you do, does that take, if I had a vertical, if I'm getting licenses, what does that do for a person who's trying to, at some point, procure a license? How does that impact them?
This has absolutely nothing to do with trying to get a license. This is about the Department of Health and Department of Revenue contracting with someone who is going to provide a seed to sale tracking program and providing some limited liability.
Okay, and so in this tracking program, so I can be clear, I know this is something like what Dr. Jackson does, the gentleman that came here from Houston, Texas, that's on the MD Anderson, the scientist that testified. If I am going to become a cultivator and you put this program in place, this determines how I would get, isn't that what that contract does? When they enter into that contract
So
with that
whoever
person?
has the seed to sale tracking program will be responsible for tracking the cannabis plants from the time they're planted until the time they're sold or destroyed.
But you got to get a seed from somewhere, right, gentlemen?
This has nothing to do with getting a seed.
Okay, so like the gentleman from Texas was saying, if we don't track where the seed comes from, like they were able to track where the seed came from and they were able to synthesize Marinol, somebody could be out here growing something that could be fantastic. But if you don't know exactly where the seed came from, in this tracking method, you wouldn't be able to do anything else from a research standpoint. So, again, how does this, why do we need this if it's not gonna start at where the plant actually originates, and it actually originates with the seed?
Gentlelady, this amendment has absolutely nothing to do with what you're talking about.
So
That is
we're not gonna-
outside-
we're not
That is
gonna know.
outside the scope of what this amendment does.
So will the state of Mississippi be able to say to its citizens that we know where every seed that every cultivator is planting, that we know where it came from?
We're not trying to determine the origin.
Okay.
We're following it from the time it's planted until the time that it is sold or destroyed.
Okay, so they will not know. And this does nothing to address that.
That's right. That's right.
And the gentleman from Texas told us, but that could be done. I don't know if you were you heard the testimony.
I don't remember the gentleman from Texas.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of the amendment.
I don't see any further questions. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Think further on the bill.
Yes, sir. What the bill does is it cuts the red tape for the Department of Revenue and Department of Health. They need an ITS exemption to rapidly implement the seed-to-sale program. They need a Public Procurement Review Board exemption to procure needed resources to launch the cannabis program, a purchasing allowance. They need State Personnel Board exemptions to rapidly obtain and add positions as needed to operate the program. They need procedural rights and duties under APA to pass regulations in time to meet the deadlines, and background checks to enable DPS to maintain fingerprints and for DPS to notify the State Department of Health of qualifying events. So these are the things Dr. Dobbs has asked for. He announced his retirement yesterday. He's committed to stay through the end of July to see the program put in place and get it started. But these are the last minute cut the red tape items that he needs in order to get the program going in a timely manner. I'll be happy to answer questions if there are none.
Questions on the bill?
I would move that we...
I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2818. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 113 yeas, 4 nays, bill passes. Chairman of Education indicates he's got his amendment ready on item 10. So we're going to go back to item 10 and recognize him for the bill.
Call up Senate Bill 2424 and yield to the gentleman from Pearl River to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Pearl River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is that a strike all there? Strike all. I think this is a strike all, Mr. Speaker. Oh, it's an amendment to the strike all, yeah.
Okay, you recognize.
I'm going to explain the amendment because it's different than what the bill does. This amendment simply allows school resource officers to conduct traffic control operations in front of public schools in the state, if the district want them to do that. That's an explanation of the amendment, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
On the bill, this bill gives the school districts the option to do their payroll bi-monthly instead of every month if they so choose. It's not a mandate. It gives them some flexibility depending on their needs. That's the explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the strike all? I don't see any. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Any questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2424. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 121 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Brings us back to item 18, municipalities.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item number 18, Senate Bill 2898. I believe we have a strike all.
You recognize.
This is a companion bill to a House bill we had extending the repealer for the city of Jackson's water program. The House bill extended that program for 3 years. The Senate bill extends it 1 year. We had adopted a strike all in the committee to add a reverse repealer, and that's the explanation of the strike all, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the strike all? I don't see any. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Questions on the bill?
There's no questions.
I
Move
don't
final
see
passage.
any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2898. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Brings us to item 19, public property.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We'd like to go to item 19, Senate Bill 2525. It's been read the third time. And move to adopt a strike all.
You recognize to present the strike all.
And Mr. Speaker, we have an amendment.
You recognize for an amendment.
The amendment is a reverse repealer.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, the gentleman from Pontotoc, Mr. Lancaster, will explain the strike all.
Gentleman from Pontotoc.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The intent of Senate Bill 2525 is to amend legislation passed back in 2014 to transfer a number of state-owned properties with Vicksburg Memorial Park significance to the National Park Service for their inclusion in the Vicksburg National Park expansion. During the federal government's due diligence in their inspection of the property, they come across what they describe as a minor environmental issue that was identified in a small portion of one of the parcels. The National Park Service has asked the state to remove this portion of the property to create a buffer zone between the railroad, Kansas City Southern, and the park. That is a description of the bill.
Questions on the strike all? I don't see any. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2525. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 19 yeas and 3 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Medicaid.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize the lady from Forest to handle the bill.
Lady from Forest is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 2739 addresses non-emergency medical transport in our state. Non-emergency medical transport is in the business of providing transportation services for compensation to people who are elderly or disabled and who do not have the ability to use regular means of transportation to get to their doctor's appointments. But they do not require ambulance services. An example of this would just be average doctor's appointments, and I think a lot of dialysis patients use this service. The bill would require the Mississippi Department of Health to issue a permit to those in the non-emergency medical transport business in our state to assure they meet a certain basic standard of service and care. Things like just checking motor vehicle records to make sure the driver has a valid license, make sure the vehicles are of good repair, minimum insurance requirements, and things such as that. The department could also add things in regulations that, to be sure that NEMT providers and their drivers know how to properly load a wheelchair in a wheelchair van, perhaps no CPR, but that would be up to the department. The industry is asking for this bill. These standards are already required and met by the 48 NEMT providers in Mississippi who are in contract with Medicaid. And really simply, the goal is just to maintain the safety and integrity of their industry and protect the clients who are the most vulnerable members of our society, who are the elderly and the sick. The bill does have a reverse repealer, and that is my explanation, Mr. Speaker.
Questions, Jim from Newton?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is the lady yield?
I do.
Your desk mate over here. Is there a House bill companion to this?
There is not.
Okay, is there currently a requirement, or is there currently a standard for this particular service in the state?
Well, that is what we're trying to do, is just to provide this a minimum standard for those who provide the service in the state through the Department of Health.
There's no type of restrictions like a CON or anything like that? Anybody can go into this business? Is that
Yes,
correct?
absolutely.
Okay, thank you, lady.
Thank you for the question.
All right, I don't see any further questions. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Any questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2739. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 114 yeas and 7 nays, bill passes. Next item, wildlife.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call up Senate Bill 2503. Make the usual motion.
Been read the third time. Gentlemen, you recognize.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bill comes to us from the Senate. It's known as the term limit bill. What this bill does is sets term limits for Executive Director of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. While our colleagues down the hall have seek good government and seamless leadership, there's a little work still that has to be done on this bill. What this bill does is it seeks to establish a term limit based on every 4 years under and reconfirmation. I think we have an amendment on file that dictates that leadership should be every 4 years or concurrent with the sitting governor. So that could be 8 years. And then obviously confirmation. There is a reverse repealer in this because we still have some work to do on this bill. That's a brief explanation of the bill.
Quick. Don't see any questions. If you favor the strike all, excuse me, it's an amendment. Favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Questions on the bill? I don't see any.
The final passage.
Machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2503. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 108 yeas, 5 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Judd B.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item number 22, I would ask that we skip that one, please.
Okay.
And I'd call up item 23, Senate Bill 2263, and move to adopt the strike all.
Okay, you recognize.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is adult adoptions bill, and it allows for, first off, the strike all has an adverse repealer in it. Secondly, what the substance of the bill does is occasionally you'll have adults that want to be adopted by someone in some way or another to be a part of that family. It just allows the chancellor to waive some procedural requirements, whether it be for the need of a gal or a garnet litem, or need for doctor's affidavits, property affidavits. It gives the judge discretion to that when the adult is being adopted and they have consent and agreed to it. That's all the explanation of the strike all in the bill.
Questions on the strike all? I don't see any. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill?
No, sir.
I don't see any questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2263. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 119 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The next item is item number 24, Senate Bill 2536. I'd call it up and move to adopt the strike all.
You recognize.
Again, has a reverse repealer in it. The bill creates a registry for those people who have been found guilty of a some type of public crime involving public funds, for example, embezzlement or any other type of money that would converting taxpayers' money to personal use. It would create a registry for those. They would stay on that register for a period of 5 years. After they've completed their sentence, all fines and court costs, restitution has been paid, and then they would fall off. It does put a prohibition in place that no state agency can hire anyone that is currently on the registry, but once they fall off, certainly they could be hired at that point. It's just a mechanism to allow a little bit more transparency on those type of crimes, and that's an explanation of the strike all in the bill.
Questions on the strike all? I don't see any. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Questions on the bill? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 99 yeas and 15 nays, bill passes. Item 26, wildlife. Item 26, wildlife.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to call up Senate Bill 2495, make the usual motion.
It's been read the third time. You're recognized to present.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize the gentleman from Tate to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Tate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your patience. We were waiting on a second amendment that we just realized needed to be made for the bill. So I've got two amendments. The first amendment really makes an otherwise really good bill better. Let me back up. What we did in committee, this was double referred to Wildlife and Ways and Means, and we struck the Senate language and inserted the House language.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Madam Clerk needs your amendment.
Okay, I hadn't gotten that far yet. I was going to explain. The strike all, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, well, go ahead. Continue your explanation, sir.
The strike all that we did in committee is just simply inserting the exact House language from 606, which is the outdoor stewardship bill. It's an excellent bill. I'm not going to belabor the point. This is a bill that is supported by many organizations across the state. And so that's what we did in committee. And the amendment is simply an amendment. The first amendment is an amendment to the strike all. I'll explain the amendment at this time. The amendment adds a little bit of language on line 132, basically just states that to the maximum extent possible, we shall encourage the existing land uses to be maintained where appropriate, including but not limited to farming, active forest management, hunting, and fishing, to just encourage that the land continue to be used for those purposes. when one is chosen. We added some audit language on 180 for the non-governmental entities, requiring them to produce their audits for the last 5 years, just to show that they are in good standing, as well as a current list of the board members for purposes of conflicts of interest. And then we went ahead and stated that all members of the board shall be equally represented from each congressional district in the state. So that's an explanation of that amendment, Mr. Speaker.
Questions? Jumping the show by Mr. Bound.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would gentlemen yield?
Yes, sir.
Hey, gentlemen, so I just want to be sure on your amendment not to strike all. Is this addressing, this would disallow the sale of public land to private individuals? Is that basically what this amendment is doing?
Say that again. Let me make sure I understand your question.
This amendment would disallow the sale of public land to private individuals.
I don't know that I see that in my amendment, gentlemen. I don't think it addresses that.
Okay. I didn't know if we may have been trying to address another issue with a WMA located in another part of the state that we've having some problems with on the other end of the building. So, okay, thank you, gentlemen.
This amendment does not address that issue, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, I don't see any further questions. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Questions on the strike all?
We have a second amendment, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're recognized for your second amendment.
You ready? The second amendment just simply deals with the makeup of the board and the appointments from the lieutenant governor to the governor, and it changes how the speaker makes his recommendations. His recommendations will be made to the governor as opposed to the lieutenant governor. That's an explanation of this amendment.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Any further amendments, gentlemen?
No further amendments, Mr. Speaker. Just would like to say on the bill itself, House Bill 606 was a great bill, and with this amendment, it's what I would consider close to as a perfect bill as you can get. We hope the Senate will concur in this legislation. This amendment places an emphasis on the best use. The amendment that we just adopted places the emphasis on the best use of the funds and provides additional accountability on the entities who are experts in this area. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a bill that we've supported many times. I'm asking for your support again. Let's send it to the Senate and ask for their concurrence and get this put into law.
Questions now occur on strike all. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Questions on the bill? Jumping to pile, Mr. Holloway. Passes. All right. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Question occurs on Senate Bill 2495. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay.
Thanks.
Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 113 yeas and 3 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Medicaid, passes. Tourism, passes. Transportation, passes. Transportation passes again. Workforce, I guess he passes. Judd A passes. Brings us to the last item, Marine Resources. Guess he passes. Oh, there he is. He passes too. All right. I think we've concluded our work, ladies and gentlemen, but we're going to take a brief recess subject to call to make sure that we have done all the work that we need to do. What you want?
I have one rule, resolution needs to be passed out today. So
One rules needs to be passed. All right, we'll recognize the chairman. We need a committee report. Jim from Marion, what purpose you seek recognition?
Let him go ahead and do his bill.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir.
He can go ahead with his bill right now. I'm making an announcement about lunch.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, sir. Chairman of Rules. Excuse me, Madam Clerk needs to read the committee report. I'm sorry, I got out of.
Report of Committee on Rules, HR number 69, Meridian High School Lady Wildcats basketball team. Commend and congratulate on winning the MHSAA Class 6A State Championship. Time sufficient to be adopted.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Ladies and gentlemen, these young people will be here tomorrow. We need to get this passed out so that we can get the resolution together for them. That's my explanation. Title sufficient to be adopted. The motion.
Questions on the resolution? I don't see any. If you favor the resolution, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
Yield, Mr. Speaker.
All right. Mr. Chairman, give me a recess subject to call, please, sir. You make that motion? Yes, sir. He makes that motion. Motion to recess subject to call. We're going to check where we are and make sure we're done with our work. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. House in recess subject to call.
Could I have y'all's attention just a minute? Just to give you a heads up, you know, the old Capitol Inn having a forestry luncheon over there today at 11:45. Maybe your ice won't be melted in your teeth time you get there. We're going to be here a few more minutes from what I understand, see what we
Please let the House come back to order. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've checked with all the chairmen, and appears we have concluded our work. So thank you so much for your hard work. Announcements, Mr. Clerk.
We'll have page pictures immediately after adjournment.
Announcements, Madam Clerk.
Local and private will meet at 2 o'clock today in room 103. On tomorrow, appropriations full committee will meet at 10 in 201A.
Announcements by the members. Gentleman Lounge, Mr. Kareem.
Yes, sir. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to hold Senate Bill 2536 on the motion to reconsider.
Okay, we can do that. Lady from Harrison, Ms. Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My desk mate would like to change on the general calendar today, number 24, Senate Bill 2536, his vote from yea to nay.
Any objection? Change the gentleman's vote. Any gentleman from Pearl River, Mr. Owen? Passes. Any further announcements? I don't see any. Recognize the gentleman from Octavia Hall, Chairman of Rules.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. in the morning.
Motion is to stand adjourned till, sir, hold on just a second. Appropriations had called a meeting for 10. Could we move that possibly, gentlemen, from Jackson? Would you think you could reschedule your appropriations, maybe, so that we could come in here at 10 and be done for the day?
We could do it after adjournment.
Okay. That'd
No
be
problem.
fine. Appropriations will meet after adjournment tomorrow. All right, motion is to adjourn till 10 a.m. tomorrow. All in favor say aye, opposed nay. Ayes have it. House adjourned till 10 a.m. tomorrow.